What's up, Padawan? What's up, Padawan? This is Afro Joe the Wiki Ten like a T. I'm mood of who can is. Today I want to talk about somebody I feel kind of bad for in a way because this happened last year. This happened back in 2018, and the story has broken out today. But like I said, it happened last year. This is Timothy Byrdsong. And I feel bad for this man. I really do. He's a pastor at a church. He works with the NAACP, and he was a resource officer at a school where he worked for Murray County Sheriff Department at that time. Now the story broke back in December 2018, and there was a scuffle between two boys in this middle school. Now I feel bad because the story, at first you hear the story, it's like child neglect and child abuse, but when you hear the story, it makes you think before you judge. Please think, have an open mind. Please think before you judge. And like I said, this man's a pastor. This man's part of the NAACP. This man's a good man, and his attorney has spoken highly of him. So did several other officers of Murray County. And like I said, the story broke out yesterday, the 20th of March of 2019. But the story actually broke out back in 2018. But he's been let go of the sheriff's department in Murray County. The reason why was because two young boys was fighting. When you are an officer or a security guard, you have to think on your feet. And if you're the only officer by yourself with no backup and you can't reach your radio in time, you got to make a split decision. You really can't judge this officer. Say, well, he was in the wrong. But you got to think about it. You're by yourself. You have no backup. You have no weapon. You really can't do much if you're in a school or at a place where you got to be unarmed. And it makes me feel bad. I say he had to make a judgment call. You got to think about it. If you was in his shoes, you probably make the same call or try to make a different call. But he actually, I seen the video. He actually body slammed a child and he got let go. Now his attorney spoke out about it that they're going to fix this problem where he's going to try to get back on the sheriff department, and he was working at a security company called G4S. Like I said, I feel bad because has happened to a man. He loved the kids loved him, but it's like this: when you are an officer, you got to make these split decision, and it's hard to be in the right. Well, I'm not gonna make excuses. I'm not gonna make excuses because you know what? Sometimes they're in the wrong. Excuse me, but you got to think about this. The video I have seen? It was wrong, but you got to remember, there's nobody backing him up. How do you fix this? How do you make it right? Is the question. Like I said, how do you fix it? You have nobody but yourself. You have nothing to back you up. Nobody to back you up. You're the only officer there. What do you do? How do you fix this problem? They never thought about that. They never thought about what do you do in that situation? How do you fix it? They're saying that he was in the wrong for body slamming a child, but you got to think about it. There's a fight breaking up. You're the only officer in the area. How can you reach your radio in time and try to hold back a child, especially if a child is half your size and probably weighs more than you do, or a child's about your size and weighs more than you do? How do you try to contain one person and trying to reach your radio? Yeah, like I remember, like what was it, last year, year before that, an officer was wrestling with a suspect, and the security guard was in there videotaping, asking for help. Help me! Didn't get no help. She got fired. She got fired for that because instead of her calling the police, she recorded the incident. Now this man, like I said, this man is by himself. Now if G4S wants to sit there and say, well, he was in the wrong, like you got to think about it. You got to think about it. You're the only officer on the floor. How would you feel? If you have an unarmed officer at a location that has no backup, no radio to call, and you by yourself, what do you do? That is the question. That is the question. What do you do? How do you solve this problem? How do you solve this problem? How do you fix this? I've sat here and I watched it. Watched, like I said, I watched the tape. I feel bad for him in a way, where he had no other choice. He like, yeah, he was wrong for body slamming a child, but he's trying to take care of one problem and deal with another one. And I think that this security company G4S probably would have sat there and looked at it too. It's like, well, if he's down there by himself at a location, how? Like I said, I'm not making no excuses for the man. It makes you question. You can sit there and say, well, that happened last year, but he's still fired. But that's G4S logo. But it's still fired. But I, being who I am, I do what I do best. But this is actually Deshaun Russell. He works for G4S. He's a captain. He was looking at time in prison for a stalking charge. Not prison, but jail time for a stalking charge. So you're telling me that this man was looking at a stalking charge can be a captain at G4S? You got to look at it like this: two sides of every story. If G4S can look at him and say he can work for us, even though he was looking at a stalking charge and the charges was dropped. He was looking at a stalking charge. How can he be captain over a group of security guards, which that are armed and unarmed? But he was looking at a stalking charge. This is actually his mugshot. This is actually Deshaun Russell's mugshot. But it makes me question G4S. It makes you look sloppy as a security company. It does. It really does. Because if you're doing business and they look this up, that one of your employees is like, okay, he was looking at he has a criminal record, and they're gonna see like, okay, he had a stalking, almost had a stalking charge. He was almost charged for stalking. Why do I want to do business with a security company that's well known around the world, not just in this country, but around? When I say around the world, I mean places like India, China, Japan, Tokyo, Afghanistan, Iraq, the UK, Australia, probably Hawaii, Poland, Greenland, Iceland, places like that. You probably say, well, some of the places they won't. Yeah, they got contracts around the world, but like I said, you got to think about it. You're well known around the world. You're number two in the states, and somebody who has a business, they see this. They pull this up about one employee, Deshaun Russell. It's like, okay, he was looking at a stalking charge. Do I really want to do business with a security company that has employees like that? Do I? That is leverage. That is leverage to a business. That's like, do I really want to work with these people because they got several employees with a stalking charge or assault and battery charge or a drug charge? Really, it makes you think on that. If he can get a job at a security company because of him having a almost security job, even though he was almost, I use the word almost, charged for stalking, you got to think about it. You got to think about it. Almost a charge. Then why not give Timothy Byrdsong, Mr. Timothy Byrdsong, that was, I guess, fired for trying to do his job? So you telling me you telling me a guy that was charged for almost charged for stalking, can get a job at a security company and be make Campton, but a guy that was doing his job trying to separate a fight can be fired and looked at as like, you know what, we can't hire you because you was abusing kids. You got to think about it. When you're the only officer on the scene, what do you do if you can't reach your radio? Or you trying to calm down somebody? Or you trying to do something to fix an issue? What do you do? These are the questions that people should be asking. I feel it's bad for Timothy Bird because this happened back in last year, December 19th. The story broke out December 19th, but the story broke for the news yesterday. But it makes me feel bad for him because he was sitting up there trying to do it. But it makes me question. And it makes me question more about this because G4S, the security company, is pretty much being hush hush. G4S is being hush hush. They like, well, we don't want people to know. You don't want people to know when stories like this break out every day in the news about a security officer. Really, that makes you question. It makes me look at you. If I own a business, why do I want to do business with you? That is the question. Why do I want to do business with G4S if stories like to me stories like this break out? Like, damn, do I really want to do business? Now I'm doing this as a report that's happened down in Murray County. It makes you. I'm asking you, the people. Would you? Would you? Now I want to hear what you think. Do you think, okay, give him a chance? He was the only officer out there to handle this situation, or he was wrong? I want to hear what you got to say because there's two sides of this. This is like there's a okay, he was by himself, and then there's the side that well he was wrong for the body slamming. But there's a gray area where both sides should come to the middle and be like, you know what, he was wrong for doing it, but he had to do something to fix this problem. He was the only officer back there by himself, no backup, but he was still wrong. But he should be fixed. This problem should be fixed. I think he should have been like administrative leave because he was the only officer there and there was nobody to back him up. Yeah, give him administrative leave. Don't fire the man. If G4S is a security company and they look at it as like, we really need to fire him because of this, then you're a terrible company because this broke last year, but you're finding out today, which why did you wait so long when this was going on back last year? That means that you wasn't doing your job, which means that you're a terrible company if you cannot do a thorough background check or actually find out what was really going on. As a security company, even though you make contract deals with courthouses, schools, and well-known companies, and you couldn't do that yourself to find out what was going on. How do security businesses like G4S stay in business if they're doing this? They're hiring one dude that almost had a stalking charge, and then but they want to fire a guy for making a mistake. That makes no sense. Where a guy that was getting the guy that got almost got charged for stalking can have a job at a security company, can sit up there and have a job, but a guy that made a big mistake cannot. That's tit for tat. That's leverage on Timothy Byrdsong. It's like I was working for this company, but they fired me because the story broke. But your captain though had almost had a stalking charge. I think it's unfair. Even if he did get charged or not, that's still unfair, and that's not right. Now we'll post the story down in the in the description about Timothy Birdsong. But I want to know what you think. Think about this story, and I want to see what you think about it. Tell me what you think, cause I want to know. Because to me, like I said, I'm on both sides of the fence thinking and looking at this. It's like, yeah, well, he was in the wrong, but he was the only officer on the scene. How do we work this? To me, I think he needs administrative leave. Two, he needs to be punished for what happened. I think being suspended for a while until for a while and him doing something to get forgiveness from the family of the boy he body slammed. But you got to remember, he is a pastor, and plus he works with the NAACP. You can sit there and say, well, they don't mind mean nothing. Him being a pastor and part of NAACP. Would you? But y'all didn't mind when R. Kelly was peeing on little girls, but you loved his music. Same damn coincidence. You didn't mind R. Kelly pissing on you didn't. You got mad when R. Kelly was came out and arrested. He peeing on a little girl, but we love his music though. It's just like that. It's just like Timothy Burns. You can sit there and say, well, that's totally different, but it's the same in a way in this scenario. Not in this scenario, but it's like this. Not this scenario, but you got to look at it almost like he body slammed a child, but he should pay, but not like that. But you can't look at R. Kelly and say, well, He should pay for peeing on little girls. But he makes great music. You can't do that. That's kind of messed up and say, well, his music is great, but bad babysitter. You can't say that. And it's like, I'm going to still buy his album, but he's a bad babysitter. If you can look at Timothy Birdsong and say he was wrong for what he did, and then wrong for what he did, he should be fired. You can't sit there and say R. Kelly is a terrible babysitter, but I'm still buy his music. Same if you looked at Michael Jackson and say, I will never let him babysit, but I still buy his music. It's the same as say, Kevin Spacey should go to jail for rape, but I'm gonna still watch his movie. It's still like that. You can't do everybody like it. You can't sit there and say this, but you go for that. But tell me what you think down in the comment section. I'm Afro Joe, telling like a T.I. Tell me what you think. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Tumblr. Check out my fan page. Check out my YouTube. Check out my fan page and group page. Holla.